You saw with Cockpit Resource Management how to make use of your cockpit resources. But CRM is also sometimes called Crew Resource Management and brings new meaning to the term people person. That's because people, both outside and inside the cockpit, can be one of your best resources. Take the briefer at the FSS. He may be able to provide you with local weather trends, and his experience with the reliability of certain forecasts can be very helpful. The dispatcher at your flight school can help you with local airport procedures, both at your home base and at airports your flight school normally uses for cross countries. They can literally keep you out of the trees. And if you have any mechanical or maintenance-related questions about your airplane, either before the flight or while at another airport, the mechanics at your flight school can give you invaluable help. The folks in ATC can provide you with many services also, if you'll only ask. As you recall, some airports have a departure control that controls aircraft within about 25 miles of the airport. There are also air route traffic control centers, called Center for short, that control IFR traffic en route. You can ask both departure control and center to watch you on their radar and give you traffic advisories as you travel to your destination. This service is known as VFR advisories or flight following, and ATC will provide the service on a workload permitting basis. That means if they're not too busy with their first priority, which is IFR traffic. Just ask departure control for flight following and tell them your destination. They will tell you when it's time to talk to center and which frequency to use. If you need to find a center frequency on your own, they're listed in the Airport Facility Directory. Or you can use the NRST function on your GPS to find the frequency. Radar flight following can give you not only traffic information, but also your ground speed and sometimes weather avoidance assistance. And if you're uncertain of your position, they can usually guide you to a nearby airport. When you use flight following, monitor the controller's frequency at all times. And when you don't want the service anymore, tell the controller before you change frequencies, and then change your transponder code to 1200, the VFR code. For the flight itself, a passenger in the right seat can be a fabulous resource, especially if they're a pilot. On this, your first cross-country flight, your instructor will, of course, be with you, so use your instructor. Pretend that he's a fellow pilot going along on a flight. That'll be a pretty common situation after you get your license. Ask your instructor to hand you the charts and fold them up when you're done, hand you the flashlight if you need one, or read the airport facility directory to you. After all, if he wasn't sitting in the right seat, you'd be using it for your flight bag and other things you need handy. And of course, ask him to help you watch for traffic. Now that may sound silly when it's your instructor sitting in the right seat, but later, when it's another pilot in the right seat, it's an important resource to call on. Even a right seat passenger that isn't a pilot can be a big help. You just need to coach them more. In your pre-flight briefing, consider teaching them the points of the clock to help you look for traffic. This will let them know where to look if they hear a traffic alert from ATC. An extra pair of eyes watching for airplanes is always useful. It will also make sure they don't call traffic that couldn't possibly be a factor. A good rule of thumb to avoid false alarms is to brief them on not calling traffic that you couldn't possibly hit, especially traffic that's well above or below your altitude. That way you can concentrate on the real threats. Also, consider letting the passenger read the checklists to you. They'll enjoy it. It gets them involved and helps them feel more comfortable. And perhaps most importantly on a long flight, a right seat passenger can act as your cabin flight attendant. Never thought you'd have one this quick, did you? They can open that delicious box lunch you purchased at the airport restaurant and pour the coffee. Even though you may technically be a single pilot operation, you still have a whole crew out there just waiting to make your flight a successful one. So be a people person and use all your people resources.